Of course, Joe Rogan's 3-hour interview with Donald Trump, which was posted on Friday, was severely censored, shadow banned by YouTube, and not just with a moderate visibility filter. Up until just a little while ago, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, if you searched for the interview on YouTube, you couldn't find it. I should have taken a screenshot of it when I searched and checked it myself when I heard the word spreading around, because I always like to have the receipts, as you know. But it wasn't just buried in the search results. There were no search results for it. All the search results were other people talking about it, but the actual interview was nowhere to be seen. The only way for you to find it was to actually go to Joe Rogan's YouTube channel and then click on the recently uploaded episodes, which perfectly explains why it hasn't become by now the #1 most viewed episode on his channel. I'll try to remember to leave a link down in the description below if you want to go and watch it. I watched maybe a third of it. Not any real big bombshells. Again, it's fantastic that Joe did it, especially after saying that he didn't want to help Trump and had rejected him as a guest in the past. And for the Joe Rogan regular listeners, it'll be great to hear Donald Trump instead of hearing the sound bites that the media take out of context, and hopefully encourage them to get out and vote, because at this point, it's not really about who supports who. It's about who can actually convince their supporters to go and vote. And there was quite a big hiccup when they released the episode on Friday, which leads me to believe that they didn't want to release it until Monday, because releasing a big bombshell interview like that on a Friday might not be the wisest strategy. And also, when people started sharing the link, the video was unlisted, meaning that you actually had to have the URL in order to see it. So if you went to the homepage on the YouTube channel, on Joe's channel, it wasn't there. And later they said that there was a glitch uploading it to Spotify, and so they delayed the release until that was processed. But I actually don't think that's true. I think what they did is a mistake on their part that they wouldn't have even known was a weird feature on YouTube. When you upload a video unlisted, which is what you do, and then later you schedule it to be released once it's done processing, if you add that video to a playlist, then it will show up in the playlist category. So if you go to a YouTube channel's homepage, and then if they have the playlists listed on the homepage, if that unlisted video, it has been added to a playlist, then it will show up there. And so I think that some people just were poking around on Joe's channel after the interview was done, expecting to find it, saw it was listed in the playlist, and then started watching it and started posting it and sharing it around. And then later they realized, oh, shoot, okay, well, we might as well release it. Another reason why I think that they meant to release it on Monday is because on Friday, they had already released an episode. So it doesn't really make much sense to release 2 different episodes on the same day, especially if they knew that they were going to be interviewing Donald Trump. Why wouldn't they just save one, put it in the can, release it a couple days later? Very, very odd. Oh, and by the way, I guess I should have mentioned this earlier in the video, because I can already see people going and searching and being like, I can find it. This is fake news. They fixed the problem, which of course they said was just a mistake, and that the video had been labeled extremely low quality spam by an internal tag. And then that means that it gets shadow banned from the search and is only allowed to be seen by people who directly go to a YouTube channel's homepage. Always just a mistake with the big tech companies, and always those mistakes only happen to conservatives. And liberals are always above the law, above the terms of service. Probably the most interesting revelation or discussion was when Donald Trump revealed that Barron, his 18-year-old son who's a college freshman, was the one who convinced him to start doing a lot of the podcasts that he did, like the Nelk Boys, Theo Vaughn. He sat down and did a live stream with this guy named Aiden Ross, who's a very popular live streamer. Not to insult his success, but in my opinion, I have no idea what his skills or talent are and why anybody would actually watch him. But it is a great method to reach those younger voters. And so here is Donald Trump revealing that his new advisor, his son, is really responsible for getting him on these podcasts. And this is the first election where the presidential candidates started doing these, kind of independent, non-corporate podcasts.
So I have a son who's very smart and tall, Barron, right? And he knows all about you. He knows about guys I never heard of. He said, Dad, you don't know how big they are. They're big. You know, he told me how big. I said, who the hell is he? Like Ross. I did. He said,
Aiden Ross.
Dad, he's a great guy. I mean, guys that are doing, it's a whole new world out there.
It's a different world. And
it's a massively fractured media ecosystem, obviously. And so far, the Donald Trump interview on Joe Rogan's show has 35 million views. And contrast that with even a big CNN or MSNBC town hall event, which may get 1 million viewers. And while just a few years ago, Joe Rogan said he didn't want to help Donald Trump and refused to have him on his show numerous times, it looks like he finally came around and will undoubtedly lose some of his Hollywood friends just for interviewing Donald Trump. But he did admit this.
the rebels are Republicans now. They're like, you want to be a rebel, you want to be punk rock, you want to like buck the system. You're a conservative now. That's how crazy. And then the liberals are now pro silencing criticism. They're pro censorship online. They're talking,
and they're just a bunch of complete lunatics and degenerates. Yes. Donald Trump not only sat down and gave Joe 3 hours of his time, but after this interview, he went to a rally in Michigan and then spoke for another hour. And on the podcast, made this very interesting, I guess kind of obvious point.
Can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to do it.
I will talk to her like a human being. I will try to have a conversation with her.
If she did this kind of an interview with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. You'd be saying, call in the medics.
I think we'd have a fine conversation.
We know that Joe would treat her with kid gloves, and it would be absolutely fantastic if she were to sit down with him, even for 2 minutes. But we know that's not going to happen. And even her campaign is now saying she's just too busy.
Can I ask you about Rogan? Was there a Rogan invite to the vice president that was turned down? Is it something you would consider doing, given the size of that audience, and given that a lot of the folks that Trump seems to be targeting might be listening to that?
Well, yeah, I think that the vice president's happy to go anywhere and any place to talk to a broad segment of the country. We talked with Rogan and his team about the podcast. Unfortunately, it isn't going to work out right now because of the scheduling of this period of the campaign.
She's just too busy to go on the biggest podcast in the world in order to reach the key demographic of men who she needs to get elected. And remember when Kamala was asked if she would do anything differently now that hindsight's 2020, or asked if she had made any mistakes ever as part of the Biden-Harris administration? She said no, because she's just perfect. Well, Donald Trump was asked if he had made any mistakes during his administration, and this was his answer.
The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people, or
people that were just
people
bad,
that were into the
people got bad advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're reading about him a little bit today. A guy like Kelly, who was a bully, but a weak person.
And a disinformation agent with Operation Mockingbird.
You know more about bullies than anybody probably around, because you deal in a certain sport.
Like I said, I'll leave a link to the full interview down in the description below if you want to go and watch it. And subscribe to my channel here if you're new. And if you're a regular viewer, we are creeping towards 1.9 million subscribers. We just need 4,000 more, because the visibility filter that's been placed on this channel doesn't allow the videos to actually be shown to a lot of people. It used to be that about a third or 35% of the views were from non-subscribed people, when the videos would actually be shown on others' homepages or on related videos, near related videos. But now it's about 3%, because the videos only just populate amongst the subscribed, even if they're going to do that. So we can get to 1.9 in maybe a month or so. Getting to 2 million at this rate might take a couple years. But thanks for all your support. Stay tuned, and I will see you soon.